In this video, I'm going to give you a complete big picture map over the belief shifting process. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tom and I make videos that help you empower your higher self and manifest your dream life. If you'd like to win 60 minutes of one-on-one coaching with me, comment below. It is done. Winners are announced every week. So it's out of the scope of this video to explain how beliefs create reality, or how consciousness creates reality. But suffice to say, in your subconscious mind are certain beliefs. And when they're in there, they are basically manifesting onto the screen of space. The key with this video is that when you go to uncover these beliefs and then change them and replace them with empowering positive new beliefs that support your desire, that empower your dream life, this map will help you guide through that entire process so that you feel confident, so that as your subconscious shifts and you notice all of these things happening internally and also externally in your world, you don't panic and you can feel reassured because you have the map of what is happening to you. So with that in mind, this is more for those beliefs that are about your career, about a financial situation, about a romantic relationship, or a self-image upgrade in terms of your confidence, your worth, etc. So what we're talking about is beliefs that are about a bigger life theme, a transformation in some important area of your life for you. And you use affirmations, imagination, etc. to impress these beliefs within your subconscious mind. So that's what we're talking about with these themes. In saying that, always remain open in your perspective and flexible in your mind. Perhaps none of this will apply to you and you'll manifest something like that because you hear people having stories where they imagine something once and it just pops up in their life, even if it is a big thing. So be open to that too, but also this theme and this model and map can be helpful to you. Number one is the Epiphany. This is basically a state of I am ready to change. Now perhaps you've been aware that you've been harboring some negative beliefs, some limiting beliefs that are causing you doubt and fear, that are blocking you from moving forward towards your desire, towards building new habits, a new self-image, etc. Maybe you didn't change it at the start and it's kind of been lingering, you've been suppressing it, but then it comes up again. Or perhaps you just in one moment realize, oh my goodness, I've been thinking about life this way and that's why it's been showing up like this. And it hits you and the floodgates open, you have that light bulb moment and it can be kind of overwhelming. Sometimes it's a negative feeling, sometimes it's a huge release, like a burden off your shoulders and a sense of empowerment and clarity. But something happens where you gain awareness over what's going on inside of you. Because if you don't understand what these beliefs are in your subconscious, these beliefs that are being conditioned in from emotional impacts and society and parental influences from when we were very young, then you don't really know how to shift it into something favorable to you. So it always begins with an epiphany, an awareness of what's going on inside, but coupled with that, a real desire to change. And this desire can vary in degrees. Sometimes it's just like I'll give it a first attempt and then you fall off track. But really what brings it all the way through to the manifestation of your desire is a sense of I am changing. I am ready to change these beliefs, to do what it takes to invest in these techniques, in this information, in a coach, anything of that nature where you really feel bought in authentically in yourself to shift based on that epiphany. So that's fantastic. You get some new beliefs. Perhaps you make a desire tape. It's one of the most powerful things I do when I have a thing I want to activate in my life. And then you start programming that in. Or perhaps it's affirmations or imagination, as I spoke of. But you start programming it in. Now, before I move on to this, I'll give a little bit of a personal example throughout each. So for the epiphany phase, I remember I was working in a bottle shop, a casual job, very toxic work environment. This is about last year, so about a year ago. Basically, I knew about the subconscious mind for 6 months and I wasn't doing anything about it because I was a bit scared. I needed to understand more from an intellectual point of view. I didn't want to be just brainwashing myself with wishful thinking. I needed to understand it from all angles before I applied it. But eventually nothing was changing and I was still in this job, living in this crummy apartment, yet I had this big vision to live my life and I knew all these tools, but nothing was changing. And at that moment, I realized I had an internal belief around my worthiness of success, around fear of failure, etc. And these were all deeply rooted beliefs within me that were locking me in that position. So I reached a point where I was ready to change, and I hit this breaking point where I went, I will do anything it takes. So I created a desire tape around worthiness and around a goal for my career. So I started programming it in, and this brings us to point number 2, which is the initial first high. This is basically where, for the first couple of days you're doing it, you have a strong emotional connection to it. It flows in, it feels good, you feel elated, you feel charged up. Perhaps you see some signs flow in your life, and you notice there's some forward motion. And it just feels really good because now you've got a compass, and when you imagine that scene or you listen to those beliefs, they go in and they make you feel aligned and they light you up. And you think, yes, I'm on track. Now this is the very familiar place that most people get to. And it's a very good feeling state, and that's kind of what is presumed to be it. I've reprogrammed my subconscious mind, right? It's been 3 days, it's been a week, it's done. But that's only the first high. So most people either stop it there, or when it goes away think they've done something wrong. But really what's happening is just the start of these beliefs are trickling into the subconscious, and they haven't really activated, they're just flowing in, and that's why they're still flowing in seamlessly and feeling quite good. In this instance, I started listening to this tape for about 10 days about my worthiness, about success, and then my dad said there was an opening to work in an IT job, which was paying 5 times the current salary I was on in the bottle shop. Still wasn't my ideal job by any means, but it just fell into my lap within 3 weeks of listening to this new beliefs. I was in an office, in a well-paying job, in a respectable position in society. Interesting how that happened so quickly. But then that leads to the first backlash. Now, this is where the beliefs are soaking into your subconscious and they finally clash with the old ones. In a program that I studied, which was by Bob Proctor, this is called an XY vibration. The X is the old conditioning, the old beliefs, and the Y is the new conditioning and new beliefs. And they basically both can't live within your subconscious because that creates a state of contradiction. One part of you saying, stay here, you stay safe, you're not worthy, you're not successful, or whatever else you're trying to manifest. And the other part of you, the new empowering beliefs, are saying, move forward, set yourself free, take that chance, take that risk, you can do it, you can flow, you can have joy, etc. And they get into a state of friction. And that causes intense inner emotional turmoil, chaos, cloudy mental fog. You can't even get yourself out of it. It's actually very intense, and you'll know what I mean if you've really tried to shift your subconscious mind, especially for those bigger beliefs. And so you get into this storm within yourself, and externally, things start to chaotically reflect that. For me, in that example, it was having to quit my job in a drop of a hat and go into a career in IT I had no experience in. And I felt very nervous that I had to audition, I had to buy a suit and everything like that. But it happened so quickly, and I immediately went out of my comfort zone and went into this storm. Meanwhile, it wasn't really about the IT job, it was about you're believing you're worthy, you're believing you're deserving of success, you're believing you can impact people in this way in your career. Who are you to think about that? And so you reach a turning point. You're either going to fall off track or you're going to persevere through and keep reprogramming the beliefs in, keep shifting them and keep staying on course for your ultimate manifestation to come true, your desire. But the turning point is met by resistance, procrastination, especially not only to just living life in healthy, positive ways towards your desire, but in actually doing the reprogramming techniques. I remember there was one time where it was about 1 a.m. in the morning and I just could not bring myself to listen to my tape, even though I had all the time to do it, and I, with all my might, pressed my thumb down on the play button and I started to listen to all these beliefs about worthiness and success, etc. And they programmed in that night and I didn't break that repetition. See my video on the 2 keys to reprogram your subconscious mind for why this is important. Another thing in the program is known as the terror barrier. That's the kind of thing where, say, for example, you're manifesting a new job, a new career, and you're in an old job, and then you get the feeling, I've got to quit. Or perhaps you'll let go. The universe is aligning things, but there's a terror because you stepped way out of your comfort zone, right onto your path. You're sort of thrown onto the hero's journey. Drama, this is really from people in your external life, friends, family, colleagues, they can start getting in your face, giving you lots of drama, lots of gossip, stories, bad news, not necessarily terrible news or anything like that, but stuff that throws you off. Because again, with reality being a mirror, it's anything to distract you from fully committing to these new beliefs and shifting them all the way through and embodying them truly. The old self will start to throw things in you outside of reality to pull your focus off what you're really trying to do, which is make that meaningful, purposeful shift, and then get distracted in details and drama. So this is all a sign of that you may experience. And then, as I mentioned before, the inner critic. Your doubts, your fears, your lack and limiting beliefs, they all come up and they can kind of attack you. I have a video called Ego Attacks that you can check out, but it's almost like your own ego mind starts to turn on you, and it can be quite intense because all these thoughts are going on, and if you don't do meditation or anything, you feel like you are thinking these negative thoughts. The key point in the first backlash, and for any subsequent backlash, is to remember that they seem so real and convincing, but it's not. Keep calm and carry on. If you remember that, I remember that keep calm thing from a couple of years ago. Well, that's exactly what you have to do here. You just have to persist. You just have to do the reprogramming exercise, stay connected to it without breaking that momentum, and the cloud lifts. The storm literally passes because it never was you. You were the awareness behind all of these thoughts, all of this chaos. And if you just stayed grounded with faith in the law of attraction, in your higher self, in your subconscious power, which is what you do to the best of your ability, the backlash passes. And it just leaves your being, and a huge wave of that negative past programming literally leaves your consciousness, and that new belief starts to take hold. At that point, or soon after, you experience the first peak. This relates to Abraham Maslow's idea of peak experiences that he writes about in Towards the Psychology of Being, a great book. And this can feel like you're on a mountaintop. True fulfillment, true peace, absolute drive to move forward. It's elation. It's exactly what you wanted to taste in life. And maybe it's an outward sign of your desire. For example, if you're manifesting a specific person, all of a sudden you're receiving a text and you're having a conversation with them, and you can't believe it. It's all building up, and it's mind-blowing. Or it's just an internal sense of, I'm so proud of you. You are so strong. You are so courageous. I can do this. I am committed. And you notice that self-love, that worth, that penchant to accept success has increased within you because you actually have shifted. But it's a beautiful moment, and savor those moments. On the hero's journey, it's like you've set sail on a boat and you've come out the storm and you're seeing a rainbow on the ocean water. And that rainbow is what the purpose of life is. It's to enjoy those moments where you've overcome and expanded yourself. So you savor in that, but of course the show must go on, and you keep impressing it in. At this point, during the first backlash and the peak experience, you've started to build new habits. So if you've been working a 9-to-5 job and you never had the passion to start up a business, this was me, you didn't have the worthiness to do it, you wanted to start up a YouTube channel, you wanted to start up a coaching business, this was me. Yeah, I didn't do it for 6 or 7 months. I procrastinated, I found excuses, I couldn't do it. All of a sudden, my habits had changed. I'd ordered lighting equipment, I'd got a camera, I'd filmed my first video, I was editing it before my very eyes. Everything was shifting in my habits towards manifesting this desire. And not to mention, I was in a new job, I had a new salary, I was wearing new clothes, I was around all these people that were much older than me, giving me mentorship, so things were bringing me up, I was being raised up. Moving on from that is the calibration phase. This is basically when you keep reprogramming it for 2 weeks, 30 days, 60 days, 9 days, up to 120 days, doing these exercises towards your desire. And there's no time limit again, but it's basically impressing it in, drilling it in, soaking these beliefs in you again and again and again. And in all the while, weeding out any limiting belief, any fear, any trapped, pent-up emotion in your pain body. And constantly clarifying your frequency of consciousness towards your desire, towards those empowering beliefs. And it goes up and down, up and down, up and down. It's the yin and yang polarity of life, really. The polarity of positive experiences and then dipping back down into a valley experience or a negative experience. From the ego mind's perspective, I mean. So you start basically as the old you, and you start winding up and down, clarifying your own frequency, aligning with these beliefs towards the new you, with your desire, that's a star. You become the new you, you're on a new podium, so to speak, and you've shifted your frequency, and that's what's going on. So for me, all of this was a chaos in my mind. It was a fear here, a limiting belief here, and I had to just keep pushing forward. But eventually, the interesting thing about in the calibration phase is that these beliefs really start to densify within your subconscious mind, and things really start shifting in a big way. So from the first point A, I was living in a crummy apartment, working in a bottle shop, towards point B, where I'd moved through 3 different careers, started up a business, went solo traveling, had a relationship change, and I moved houses all in the span of 12 months. So it rapidly builds momentum, and you do shift. The belief shifts, and outer reality reflects that in due time. So it eventually goes on and on, and the peaks and troughs, they level out a little bit. They don't get so extreme as they do in the start because you've purged away a lot of the limitations of the old you. And you have really aligned and, as I said, densified the new empowering beliefs. So they become more minor tweaks, minor shifts as you are becoming more and more the embodiment of that self, and as your reality materializes that inner reflection. And then finally, you hold on, and there's really no guideline, but your desire manifests. The desire will either manifest in 2 ways. A full cup situation, that's where it just lands on your plate and it's done. So there's no point imagining that you've manifested a specific person when you're dating them and they're hanging out in your bed and you've been dating for a month. That's from a random example, it's just done. Or the next one is, it's a kind of like a 3/4 full or maybe even 90% full cup. Meaning you've gained so much momentum, you've created so much progress, perhaps in a business, and 90% of the things you wanted to set out have achieved. Maybe there's a couple of things that are missing. For example, you've got clients, you're earning this amount of money per week, but you wanted to have 2 courses up and you've only got 1. But not having the last course doesn't really bother you. In a sense, it's manifested overall. And your desire to choose something else, to expand in new ways, has formulated, so you just let it go and you accept that it is manifested. When it manifests, it's a beautiful feeling because it's, again, a journey. It's a journey of self-transformation, and that is what the law of attraction really is about. It's about finding your own inner power, who you authentically are, the spiritual being you are, so to speak. Not so to speak, actually. But in that process, the polarities of life, all the ups and downs, have actually helped you understand yourself more and have born and spawned new desires within you. So you start again and again and again and again. And the consciousness you are expands to a certain point, but then when it manifests, you appreciate it, you savor it, you feel worthy of it, you're fulfilled by it, but then a new horizon opens up, a new journey for you to start all over again. And this is why people say when in life you're either on the current of growth or the stream of disintegration, because you really can't be static because everything's in motion. So a constant evolution of yourself, in your character, in your spiritual self, in your physical desires, in your dream life, etc., will keep going on and on and on. But either way, that's the 5 stages and what to expect when you shift your belief. So I really wish you well. If you'd like to work on me one-on-one to have coaching and create a desire tape, a customized desire tape, and then to have support through this process to understand how to shift your subconscious and truly manifest what it is you want, just check out the link below. And if you like this video, please like it, please leave me a comment, please subscribe to our channel, and stay tuned for more videos on how to manifest your desires and dream life.